Good morning, colleagues. I think we'll give it 1 or 2 more minutes or just a couple of seconds for, I see there's quite a number of people still joining. I'm happy to hear that there's rain in Joburg. It's certainly much needed here in Pretoria as well. So like Eugenie says, Derek, please send us some of your rain. We need it here. All right, so let's get going. Welcome to everyone here at our second fully online distance education symposium, or FODES as we call it for short. You know, the idea of FODES was born from discussions earlier on in 2020 already, when the pandemic hit and ultimately magnified the importance of fully online learning. And at that stage, many institutions have already started moving into the direction where fully online distance education programs were included into their PQMs, as the lines between residential, blended, and fully online learning started to blur. And it became clear that students value the flexibility that comes with learning fully online. So, you know, we can't deny the fact that the pandemic brought about much sorrow and despair, and that it disrupted all of our personal and professional lives in a way that was inapprehensible as little as 3 years ago. However, it's equally undeniable that the field of instructional design and e-learning has benefited tremendously as a result of the global lockdown. The emergency remote learning structures that had to be established early on in 2020 when the world came to a standstill somehow managed to become a catalyst for change. Many lecturers who pre-COVID would argue that remote learning would never work in their disciplines were now forced to use technology to teach as it was their only option. And suddenly, once they started using technology in their teaching and learning practices, their perceptions and their beliefs seem to have changed. So much so that it's hard for some of them now to return to campus and to return to more traditional ways of working. I'm thinking of a particular lecturer who used to vehemently deny the value of flipped classrooms, stating that her students would never ever come to class having already worked through the pre-readings that she provided. But now, after discovering the formative value of interactive videos, she's completely hooked. She says she'll never go back to teaching content, you know, in-person contact time with students ever again. So it seems like many lecturers now want to retain at least some of their online practices that they established during the pandemic. So whilst we don't want to relate the deep-seated, well-thought-through, intentional design of the learning experiences in a fully online distance program with the emergency transition to remote learning that was evident in 2020 and 2021 in particular, it's clear that there has been a shift and that the pandemic has become a transformational event that, in my opinion, the education sector, and particularly higher education, desperately needed. And as you know, sometimes we need a catalytic or perhaps even a catastrophic event, such as the pandemic, to initiate the change that's required to grow. The botanists amongst us will tell you that a veld fire, whilst often perceived as a catastrophic event, actually plays an important role for certain seeds, specifically those with thick, hard coats to germinate, in that it ruptures the seed coat to allow oxygen and water to enter the seed and thus enabling germination. So I want to posit that the pandemic was our fire. It cracked some old-fashioned beliefs about teaching and learning that spanned over many decades and not centuries. And it's our time now as instructional designers to capitalize on the willingness of lecturers and students alike to embrace the affordances that educational technology brings and to move into a much more dynamic era of teaching and learning. As this transitional journey will, however, bring with it its own challenges. There's obviously a need for a space where a community of like-minded individuals like us around the table today can come together and share best practices and learn from one another. And this need is now more evident than ever. And so we need the forum like FODES is providing, where we can inspire and support one another as we embark on this exciting post-pandemic journey. So this year's theme is Emerging Trends in Online Education, and we managed to attract a number of really exciting presentations and workshops for you to enjoy over the next 2 days. You'll encounter interesting topics like a review of micro-learning. There'll be talk about innovative online assessment practices. There's a session on suspense and fun through games. There's some reflections about the perceptions of students about artificial intelligence and many other more exciting topics. We hope that you'll find the program inspirational and that you manage to build new relationships with fellow curriculum, instructional learning designers, online lecturers, and other decision makers over the next 2 days. And so without further ado, I think it's time for us to get going. So Marie, as our program manager for the day, over to you.